Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be why some days are simply better than others. Well, I've got a quote that I'd like to start out this email with, and it's a quote by Eckhart Tolle. And we got the Super Bowl coming up here in a week, and I just left the house and I came to the office, and I love watching documentaries because there's like on NFL Network, they're having all kinds of documentaries on previous Super Bowls, and I love watching Super Bowl contests and just seeing the things that the players are saying in the sidelines, their psychology, the things they say to each other, how they celebrate when they do well, and also how they recover when things don't go their way. And this quote I love so much. And because I talk a lot about attachments and getting attached to things being the way they are or not the way you want them to be, and how it causes you to suffer when you don't accept reality as it is. Because sometimes shit happens in life and there's just nothing you can do about it. Some days in life are simply going to be better than others. If you're trying to improve your success with women, some days your game's going to be really on and it's going to seem like every girl you talk to thinks you're awesome. And then there's other days where women are going to avoid you like the plague, and they're not going to want anything to do with you. It applies like, what if you're trying to change your career, or get the kind of job you always wanted, and then you get turned down the first time? Do you just give up and go away? Well, if you study professional athletes and other successful high achievers, they all tend to have an unshakable belief in themselves. And not only is succeeding in life about being successful, but it's also about being able to pick yourself up and dust yourself off after you have a failure or things don't go your way. And the quote that I want to share with you is, "The primary cause of unhappiness is never the situation, but your thoughts about it." In other words, what it means to you. And so there's going to be lots of times in your life where things are going to happen. A girl's not going to like you, or maybe you get fired from your job, or an investor you want to bring into your company thinks your idea is fucking stupid and he wants nothing to do with it. And you got to learn to let those successes go or those failures go, and you can't sit there and just feel bad about it forever, because you're going to make yourself suffer. You have to be able to let that go, because the only moment that exists is right now. You can't do anything about the past because it's gone. You can't do anything about the future because it's not here yet. The only thing you can do is live in the present moment. And when we look at like baseball, when we look at the highest paid professional Major League Baseball players, the ones that are getting paid millions and millions of dollars, well, when you look at their batting, their batting averages are usually in the high twos. And what that means is they fail 70% of the time. Think about that. They're making millions and millions of dollars for striking out basically every 7 out of 10 at bats. So they fail more than they actually succeed. When you look at great NFL quarterbacks, guys like Brett Favre or Peyton Manning, or some of those types of quarterbacks, and you look at all the touchdown passes they've had or all the yards they've thrown for in their career, what people also don't tend to realize is they also tend to have the highest rates of interceptions. And obviously an interception is when you throw it to a defender on the other team and he takes it back for a pick six or a touchdown. And you got to be able to pick. You don't see Brett Favre going, when he was still playing, go, "Oh, well, I threw an interception. Okay, I'm never going to throw another pass again." He's out there fucking airing out the very next time he gets on the field. Sometimes he has 2 interceptions in a row. But they get right back up and they keep going. They don't get demotivated by it. And it's a great way to apply that psychology to your own life. And so I got an email here from a viewer, and he says, "Hey, Corey, how does a man mentally change his attitude so that his emotional strength grows and develops? What exercises should a man do in order to gain a strong sense of self and find character?" Well, you got to let go of your failures is key, but repetition's the mother of skill. I mean, look at it this way. You're obviously trying to get better with interacting and meeting women, and you're failing a lot. And you got to get to the place where you're okay with failing. Failure is a part of life. It's just a natural part of life, and the way to look at it is that each failure you get better. I mean, look at it this way. If you talk to say over the next year, you ask out 500 different women, and you keep a log of all the women that you ask out. Even if you don't meet the great love of your life, and you talk to and ask out 500 different women and get rejected all 500 times, one thing I will absolutely guarantee you of is that by the time you reach 500 different women, you will have learned a lot. You will have pretty much been rejected in every way you could possibly be rejected. And your skills will be better, you'll be more comfortable, and you'll be more confident in how you go about it. Once you get to the point where you really stop giving a shit and it doesn't matter, because that's where you're at. You're looking at it going, oh my God, I haven't met a great girl yet. Well, it's like, what does it matter? If you're looking for have a great relationship with somebody, all you need is one great girl. And so what if it takes you 500 rejections or even 1,000? Maybe it takes you 3 or 4 years to find somebody really great. Everybody starts out at a different level. Not everybody is a Super Bowl type of quarterback where when you study these guys that everybody looks at, they think, oh, well, they've just always been that way. They don't look at all the thousands of hours that they go into practice. Like you look at like professional NBA players. And I was just watching the other day, like Ray Allen, who's now with the Miami Heat. He arrives at the game 3 hours before. And what does he do? He's on the court throwing down three-point shooters. Three-point shots from all over the court. 3 hours before, he's usually the only guy out there. And he's been doing that since a coach taught him that back, I think when he was in college, as a matter of fact. And it's repetition, some other skill. He just does it over and over and over and over again. And that's why he holds the all-time NBA record for making three-pointers. He's also missed probably more three-pointers than anybody else. But the reason he's so good is because that's all he does. He practices relentlessly. And now he's with the Heat. A lot of his other players, like LeBron James, who is arguably the best NBA player in the world right now, and some people say he's the best that's ever lived. Guess what? He's out in the court with Ray Allen now, practicing his three-point shots. He's showing up just along with it because Ray has inspired his teammates to play and to practice just like he does. Repetition is the mother of skill. So he says, you see, I always find my emotions taking over, and I totally blow my chances with females. Here's one example. I had a girl I met up with, but I walked away the moment she gave me the excuse that her brother's in the hospital. I figured she isn't respecting my time, and in turn she made me out to be selfish, as those were her words. Who fucking cares? The bottom line is her attitude towards you wasn't positive and excited. She wasn't grateful and appreciative of the fact that you were talking to her, or that you wanted to ask her out, or you wanted to go out and she rejected. At the end of the day, pat yourself in the back because you made an attempt. That's all that matters. You can't, as long as you're making the attempts, you should be feeling good about yourself. So what if it's a failure? You got to get to a place in life where you become okay with failure. Not only that you become okay with failure, but you expect to fail. As a matter of fact, when it comes to whether it's throwing passes in the NFL or shooting baskets or taking pitches and striking out. I mean, you look at these guys, they fail a lot of times more than they actually succeed. And they don't let it bother them. They may get down for a minute or two and feel the hurt and the disappointment and loss or whatever. But it's like if you look at these guys and how quickly they recover, it's like next play. You should take the same approach to women. Next chick, if you're trying to get a job or a better job than what you have. Next interview. That's the way you look at it. Or if you're trying to get an investor for your company because you think you got a great idea, or you want to grow and expand your business, and you go through 100 investors and they turn you down. I mean, look at the guy that started Kentucky Fried Chicken. He spent almost, I think it was a decade, and this guy was on Social Security. He was like in his 60s. Colonel Sanders, I think he got rejected something like 10,000 fucking times. Can you imagine going to 10,000 different fucking restaurants and having them go, that's a stupid idea. I don't want your freaking Kentucky Fried Chicken recipe. I'm not interested in that. Can you imagine being that old, being 65 years old, driving around your station wagon, and you're calling home to your family like, yeah, I saw 100 people this week and they all laughed in my face. If you don't have a loving family that encourages you, hey, honey, no problem, just get back out there, do another. Somebody's going to say yes eventually. I mean, he didn't give up. It took him many years, and somebody said, yeah, okay, I'll try it. And so the guy did it, incorporated his recipe, and the stuff sold real well. And the rest is Kentucky Fried Chicken history. I mean, think about it. How many people in life really look at failure that way? How many people in life just fail after 1 or 2 attempts? I mean, think about this. Like if you have kids and say, I mean, look how long it takes. How many times does a baby fall down before the parent says, oh, that's it. Well, my baby's never going to walk. Parents don't look at it that way. They just keep picking the kid back up and hold his hands until he falls down. They pick him back up again, and eventually he gets it. But we as adults, we tend to forget that that kind of a mindset that enabled us to all learn to walk when we were little children. Something to think about. So he says, I think it's the emotional maturity I'm talking about here, and I'm also working towards a better character as a man. I am maturing as previously mentioned, and I'm sure many other young men out there are too. So how do we stay firm and strong? Well, some days you're not going to feel firm and strong. Some days you're going to feel insecure. Some days you're going to wake up and you're just going to be in a shitty mood. That's just the way it happens. And then there's going to be other days where it's going to seem like everything you do is like you can do no wrong. You couldn't fail even if you tried to fail. You know, it's interesting when they're like trying to shoot things for movies and they've got a professional basketball player like, okay, I want you to miss the shot. And you got a guy that's been practicing his whole life to make free throws or make three-point shots, and he purposely tries to miss one. It's pretty funny. They have a hard time actually missing when they try to miss on purpose because there's so much muscle memory in succeeding. And like I said, if you just get comfortable to the point where you don't give a shit if you fail, because like I said, failure is a big part of life. Like I talk about the business that I have now. Becoming a successful life coach was harder than anything I ever had to do in my life. It took several years longer than I thought it was going to take to figure out my business model. But I kept at it because I had enthusiasm. I really loved and had a passion for what I was doing. And that led me to the success that I have today. And so he says, I think emotional strength is so important, especially for young men out there. What can us guys do? Become okay with failing and make attempts, practice, repetition, some other skill. You just got to do it over and over. I want you to fail until you no longer give a shit about failing. Because when that moment happens, you won't care. You won't have any attachment one way or another. You look at it as, hey, I just got to get through the no's to get to the yes. I mean, if you want somebody to settle down with and have kids, so what if it takes you 4 or 5 years of working on your career and your body and being healthy and going to the gym to lose the weight that you want, get the career that you want, get your business to where you want it to be, before you get in that place where you just feel so good about yourself and you're so happy and you're so fulfilled that things just seem to click. And then just one day, you're in a coffee shop, you're at a friend's party, you're at a company function, and then you lock eyes with some girl and she just looks right in your eyes, and you know exactly what she's thinking because you're thinking and feeling the same exact thing. And you walk right up to her, and maybe you failed 1,000 times with the other one, but in that moment, she's open to meeting somebody, and she's looking to meet someone just like you, and you're looking to meet someone just like her, and it just magically happens. Then it's like you set up a date, or that ends up being your first date. You hang together, and you maybe end up going home together that night, or maybe you set a date a couple days in the future. You maybe meet out for dinner, or you meet up for some drinks, or go through some darts, and shoot some pool, or whatever it happens to be. Or you go to a baseball game or a football game together, whatever, and it's effortless from there because you've done so much practicing and so much work on yourself to the point where you have a take it or leave it attitude in life. And you have to get to that place where you have peace within yourself and you have patience within yourself and you don't worry about when the success that you want. If you're going to be an entrepreneur, most of your ideas aren't going to work. And most of the time, as an entrepreneur, everything you try, you think this next thing is going to do it for me. I mean, you look at some of the successful, you look at Facebook, like Mark Zuckerberg. He was like, hey, I want to build the world's largest social network. He was just like, this would be really cool. Let's build it. Let's code this and let's figure this out. Just because he figured it'd be fun, but the thing really took off, and he had a passion for it. And look at what it's grown into. They have over 1 billion people on their social network. I mean, it's just amazing. So, like I said, you got to become okay with failing, and you got to practice. Because imperfect action is better than no action at all. When you look at someone like Michael Jackson, I mean, he started out as a little boy playing and singing. People don't look at all the thousands of hours of rehearsal and work that went into making him the star that he became. Something to think about. So if you want to talk to me right away and get my help, the best way to get my help is to book a paid phone coaching session. You can do that by going to my website, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and just follow the instructions. And I will talk to you soon.